This hour, President Dr. Mohamed Muiz formally submits a PSM News in English with me, Abdullah Ahil. And now the news in detail. President Dr. Mohamed Muiz formally submits a slate of 14 candidates to the Parliament, seeking parliamentary approval for appointments to the Maldives Inland Revenue Authority Board, where 4 seats are due to be vacated at the end of the month.
The nominated submissions by President comes as the terms of 4 sitting members are set to expire on 31st August. In his letter to Parliament, President Muiz outlined the urgency of replenishing the board, noting that the nominees had emerged from a pool of applicants responding to a publicly issued call. Names were submitted in a sequence reflecting presidential preference. The candidates are Muhammad Imtinan Saudullah, Ismail Hamdoon, Aishat Shazra, Idham Hussain, Umar Ahmad Hussain, Muhammad Ahmad, Mumtaz Abdul Rashid, Mariam Juwairiya, Ahmad Mausoom, Ahmad Nasih Muhammad, Husham Wahid, Mariam Shafau Sharif, Abdullah Mifraz Nizar, and Ahmad Ali. Upon receiving the letter, the Secretary General of Parliament read the names aloud on the chamber floor. The list has since been forwarded to Committee on Economic Affairs for scrutiny, a procedural step preceding any formal appointments. As stipulated by law, final selections to the 7-member MIRA board rest with the President, subject to parliamentary endorsement.
The Parliament receives a legislative proposal to amend the National Payment System Act, introducing sweeping reforms intended to curtail unauthorized financial transactions and strengthen the oversight responsibilities of the nation's central bank.
The legislative proposal put forward by Adam Shafiq, Member of Parliament for Makunudu, articulates a dual mandate. It would confer explicit statutory power on the Maldives Monetary Authority to establish companies, partnerships or joint ventures tasked with operating payment systems and providing payment services, functions currently beyond its remit under prevailing legislation. In parallel, the amendments set forth new criminal provisions aimed at curbing financial irregularities. Under the proposed framework, any individual or entity, excluding designated banks and those formally exempted by the MMA, would be barred from offering or soliciting payment services without obtaining a license or payment issued by the authority. The scope of restrictions outlined in the bill also encompasses exempted parties who would remain prohibited from soliciting payment services from foreign entities. Sanctions for violations are defined as monetary penalties ranging from $6,486.20 US and $648,620 US. To clarify the regulatory parameter, the bill provides a definition of payment solicitation that includes any offering or promotion or payment services to the public or a segment thereof. It also captures activities such as advertising these services, proposing contractual engagements, and inviting participation in payment arrangements. Enactment of the legislation would follow formal approval by Parliament and ratification by the President. Once published in the Government Gazette, the law would take effect immediately.
President Dr. Mohamed Muiz nominates Abdul Ghani Mohammed, a former Justice of the Supreme Court, to serve as Chief Justice. The nomination is submitted to the Parliament and referred to its Judiciary Committee for review. Following deliberations, the committee has now approved the nomination, paving the way for Abdul Ghani's appointment. The vacancy followed last month's retirement of Chief Justice Ahmed Muttasim Adnan. To identify a successor, the Judicial Service Commission launched a formal selection process, drawing applications from 3 candidates: Abdul Ghani Mohammed, Shujwa Usman, the Chief the former Chief Judge of the High Court, and Abdullah Muhammad, currently serving on the Family Court and previously Chief Judge of the Criminal Court. Interviews with all three applicants culminated in the JSC's recommendation of Abdul Ghani for the role. In accordance with constitutional procedures, the President advances a nomination based on the Commission's advice, subject to parliamentary ratification. The Secretary General subsequently read the President's correspondence before the Parliament, after which the nomination was formally referred to the Judiciary Committee for deliberation. Abdul Ghani brings to the candidacy more than two decades of experience across multiple tiers of the Maldivian judiciary. He served on the Civil Court from 2000 to 2004, then spent 14 years on the High Court, including a tenure as Chief Judge. His appointment to the Supreme Court in June 2018 concluded in December 2019 when the Parliament voted for his removal following a ruling issued by the court. Maldives Monetary Authority figures shows Maldives' gross international reserves increased to $832 million in the first 6 months of the year.
MMA's economic update for July showed that gross international reserves increased to $832.4 million at the end of June 2025 from $815.8 million at the end of May 2025. This also depicted a growth of $323.2 million from the $509.2 million recorded at the end of June 2024. MMA data shows that despite the growth in official reserves, usable reserves have declined during this period. Usable reserves stood at $203 million as of June, down by 6.8% from the $217.9 million recorded in May this year. The decline was primarily down to an increase in short-term foreign debt obligations, as $742.5 million are paid in May compared to the $774.5 million in June. With the pressures on reserve levels persisting, the government has introduced measures to reinforce foreign currency holdings. A legislation passed earlier this year mandates that a portion of tourism sector revenue be exchanged through domestic banks. Initially, banks were required to sell 60% of these funds to the MMA, but an amendment that took effect on 1st June raised this threshold to 90%, ensuring a greater influx of foreign currency into official reserves.
The Ministry of Finance and Planning recruits a local consultancy firm to prepare the 20-year National Development Plan. The initiative, announced by President Dr. Mohamed Muiz in September last year, the consultancy on the formulation of the National Development Plan has been awarded to local consultancy firm Nexia Maldives.
The plan aims to guide a sustainable economic, social, environmental and urban development across the country. It will be based on research from all regions and include strategies for local areas with a legally binding framework for implementation and evaluation. The government plans to complete the plan within a year. The primary objective of consultancy is designed to outline and develop a comprehensive national development plan that addresses key economic, social, environmental, urban development and governance priorities for the sustainable growth and prosperity of the Maldives over the next 20 years. The ministry said the plan will include mechanisms for effective implementation, monitoring and evaluation of the NDP. Nexia Maldives has more than 18 years of experience in consultancy, government policy formulation, institutional strengthening and strategic planning. Nexia said the meeting with stakeholders to develop the plan will be completed within 4 months and the plan will be formulated by mid-January next year. President Dr. Muiz had stated the importance of ensuring that every island has a voice in the National Development Plan. The President highlighted that if the country's development is subject to constant shifts due to political influences, it will not benefit the people. To address this, he aims to enshrine the plan with legal authority and integrate it into the Constitution, thus making it a binding national initiative. The President emphasized that this work should be regarded as a national endeavor with input from every island in the Maldives.
The administration of President Dr. Mohamed Muiz begins issuing payments for a substantially increased monthly allowance to Hafiz individuals who have memorized the Holy Quran in what officials describe as a landmark initiative to advance Islamic education. The allowance has been doubled from $129.67 to $259.34, fulfilling a key electoral pledge aimed at enhancing religious scholarship throughout the nation. This step to double the monthly allowance of Hafiz was approved following cabinet-level deliberations and announced by President Muiz on the 24th of June. The measure marks a policy shift intended to incentivize Quranic memorization. The Ministry of Islamic Affairs has affirmed that the new rate is now in effect, in keeping with the administration's emphasis on expanding religious education. President Muiz has described the safeguarding of Islam as a central national obligation. He has pointed to a growing cohort of Quran memorizers across the country and committed to accelerating efforts that deepen knowledge and elevate the quality of recitation. This expanded allowance is part of a broader set of reforms aimed at creating an environment conducive to sustained religious learning. Among these are increased resource allocations and the development of enhanced recognition programs, plans the President has pledged to prioritize across both policy design and budgetary planning. Maldives Ports Limited gears up to provide support services to vessels including fuel and ice amid reorganization efforts of Male's North Harbour. The overhaul of North Harbour stems from MPL's assumption of operational control in early July over the harbour area, extending to the fish market formerly administered by the Male City Council. With this transfer, both the commercial port and North Harbour now fall under MPL's purview. MPL's Assistant General Manager Ahmad Hamdullah Rashid, speaking on PSM News Raja Miyadu program, said the state-owned company is preparing to provide support services to fishermen and boats in the North Harbour area, including fuel and ice. MPL said the quay wall in the North Harbour previously accommodated 32 to 34 vessels, but the reconfigured basin will handle approximately 99 simultaneously. That increased capacity has been organized into discrete berthing zones to facilitate smoother operations. MPL has designated 25 berths for waiting, 54 for cargo and passenger traffic, and 20 for fishing vessels. The cross jetty has also been repurposed to streamline the offloading of fish before departure. The operational shift is expected to ease persistent congestion, with MPL indicating that vessels previously subject to 5-day waits for quay wall access will now secure berths within 1 to 2 days under the revised system. Alongside the capacity expansion, MPL is introducing a series of infrastructural upgrades aimed at enhancing service delivery and maritime safety. Efforts are underway to zone the harbour by function, while repair work addresses infrastructure that has been in use for over 14 years. The Maldives Media Institute kickstarts a skills development workshop, Holiday Camp, July 2025, for school children. The workshop, being held from the 2nd to the 7th of July by MMI, a subsidiary of Public Service Media PSM, is targeted towards the midterm break in order to encourage kids to spend their break productively, engaged in learning new ideas and skills in a fun way. A total of 130 children aged between 9 and 17 years are participating participating in the workshop, divided into half a dozen skills development classes. The coursework includes video editing, coding and sewing and embroidery, TV presenting, paint and craft, and vocal classes for children. MMI Senior Administrator Mariam Rushda, speaking to PSM News, said the workshops conducted by MMI every year during these school holidays are well received by students and parents. The objective of MMI is to resolve the capacity building challenges faced by the media sector by providing the platform to offer affordable domestic and international programs to the industry players and potential candidates interested to join the industry. The academic programs offered by the Institute are diploma level and below as a pathway for pursuing further education in the media field. Additionally, short-term professional development training programs are conducted by the Institute to provide career development opportunities for media professionals. In order to create interest in the field from an early age, school holiday programs are conducted targeted towards school children. Judicial Service Commission President Hussein Riza Adam urges the entire judiciary to pull in the same direction to solve the mounting backlog in cases.
JSC President Riza, speaking at the swearing-in ceremony of new High Court Judge Abdullah Jamil Musa, urged judges to uphold judicial integrity and ensure impartiality in judicial decisions to maintain public confidence in the justice system. During his address, he highlighted the mounting backlog in the judicial courts, admitting that the issue stems from the whole system, including the prosecution, Attorney General, Police Service, Maldives Correctional Service, and defense attorneys. Noting that the delay in the judicial process remains the biggest public concern, Riza revealed that JSC is now gathering statistics on the ongoing cases of the courts every 3 months to avoid prolonged delays. He also asked the courts to include the reasons for the cancellation of hearings when the report is sent to the JSC in September. When looking at the judges for cases presented in different courts along with the member of judges in each court, the data are as follows. High Court 11 judges, 981 cases. Criminal Court 11 judges, 2051 cases. Civil Court 17 judges, 4077 cases. Family Court 7 judges, 214 cases. Juvenile Court 3 judges, 21 cases. Drug Court 5 judges, 1330 cases. In addition to these cases, the JSC has also noted that there are pending President Dr. Muhammad Muiz highlighted that delays in hearings and issuing verdicts are among the greatest challenges faced by the judicial system. The new Hudamale Superior Court complex aims to address these issues, with the President pledging to commence its construction within the year. The government is also working on necessary legal reforms to ensure that the judiciary, one of the 3 branches of the state, remains a trusted pillar of the nation.
Insights into business news. South Korean shares bucked global equity weakness and the trend for other Asian markets, starting the week higher on Monday, August 4th, as technology stocks jumped on policy hopes. Search engine Naver rose 3.33% and chat app Kakao jumped 6.31% amid hopes the government would announce policy measures to boost artificial intelligence technologies. The Korea Composite Stock Price Index opened down 0.16% to 3,114.27 points. Japanese shares slid the most in almost 4 months as concerns mounted over the U.S. economy and a potential upheaval in domestic politics. The Nikkei share average plunged in early
early trading opening down 680.79 points at 40,118.81. In Hong Kong, the benchmark Hang Seng Index opened 75 points lower or 0.31%, standing at 24,431 points, while the Shanghai Composite Index started down at 3,547.16 points by dropping 12.79 points or 0.36%.
An update on international news. Palestinians in Gaza searches for food to starve off hunger say they are risking their lives on a daily basis for a system that makes it very difficult for many families to get hold of any food aid.
Households lacking a strong adult male often struggle to receive food, forcing young orphan children or widowed women out into an environment that regularly sees those seeking aid shot at, with more than 100 killed in the past few days alone. Two women, one a widow and the other with a paralyzed husband, said the system meant it was difficult for weaker individuals to grab food aid, saying that they had gone to collect food for multiple days without any success. The women, holding back tears, said the aid was at the mercy of some people who take the aid and try to resell it at a hefty price, unaffordable for the pair. They urged authorities to improve on aid distribution, demanding a return to a system where aid was sent to warehouses and then text messages informed families to come and collect their share. One man walked back from the aid distribution site with a bloodied wound to his face. The man says he was shot trying to reach aid but still came back empty-handed, but thankful he was still alive. In a video filmed and distributed by the UN, at least 7 bodies were seen on a large donkey cart coming back from the aid site. On Sunday, the Gaza Health Ministry said 6 more people died of starvation or malnutrition over the past 24 hours. The new deaths raised the toll of those dying from what international humanitarian agencies say may be an unfolding famine to 175, including 93 children since the genocide began.
Looking at sports, CF Monterrey converts all 5 of their penalties to keep their knockout phase hopes alive following a 1-1 draw against New York Red Bulls.
Luis Cardenas made one save in the shootout following a match played in Cincinnati. Carlos Coronel thought he had saved Luis Reyes' penalty to prolong the tiebreaker, but it was ordered to be retaken for Coronel, leaving the goal line early, and Reyes converted the second attempt. Earlier, Julian Hall put the Red Bulls in front in the 19th minute when he ran onto Daniel Edelman's long throw ball up the middle and drove an emphatic finish on the run past Cardenas. Rayados drew level 19 minutes later when Sergio Canales scored his second of the tournament, dispatching a rebound attempt from about 10 yards after Coronel saved Ricardo Chavez's header.
Years of poor management leads to degradation of the area around Lake Ohrid, a UNESCO World Heritage Site that straddles North Macedonia and Albania, local environmentalists warned.
The lake, one of Europe's oldest, dating back 3.5 million years, is home to around 200 unique species, including rare varieties of trout. It serves as a significant tourist attraction and revenue source for North Macedonia and Albania. The North Macedonia side of Lake Ohrid was declared a World Heritage Site in 1979, and UNESCO expanded the designation to the Albanian side of the lake in May 2019. Dragana Vielkovska, an activist of Zelen Human Grad, said 3 consecutive UNESCO expert missions have arrived in the area since it was first inscribed on the list. In its 2024 report, UNESCO warned about the poor quality of real estate development around the lake and over-tourism around the coast. It also warned both North Macedonia and Albania that measures to address existing threats and prevent new ones have not been put in place. Ohrid Mayor Kirill Pesakov said that in order to maintain the status of the UNESCO Heritage Site, close cooperation between Albania and North Macedonia was needed. According to official data, the area around Lake Ohrid, which includes the towns of Ohrid and Struga on the North Macedonian side and Pogradjek in Albania, is home to around 170,000 people, an estimated 56% increase over the past 50 years. Investments in the sewage system, built in the 1980s, is needed as it can no longer handle scores of tourists who flock to the lake as a cheaper alternative to the sea.
And that's all the news we have for today. We'll be back with any further updates. Until then, I'm Abdullah Ahil from PSM News.